Well, in either stance, that's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and
I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing.
Terence Crawford is rumored to be training alongside Gennady Golovkin as he gears up for his showdown with Canelo Alvarez, a development that has stirred big buzz in the boxing community. Reports suggest the pair are focusing on refining Crawford's punching power, timing, and fight intelligence. With Golovkin's vast experience in his corner, this partnership could give Crawford the crucial edge he needs heading into one of the toughest challenges of his career. When experts talk about Terence Crawford, they don't describe him as just another fighter. They see a rare talent who blends speed, sharp timing, and an exceptional ability to read his opponents. Crawford has become famous for switching stances effortlessly and making adjustments mid-bout, something only a select few boxers can truly master. Many consider his fight IQ to be on a genius level, as he systematically breaks down rivals with accuracy and patience. His adaptability and awareness inside the ring make him stand out, placing him in a league above most boxers today. For many observers, Crawford isn't just a great fighter. He's remarkable in how he dictates fights through intelligence and strategy.
But if there is anyone who can do it, it's Terence Bud Crawford, a man who survived getting shot in the head, for God's sakes. He is not normal. He is a wizard of boxing. He's got genius IQ, one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen, and he can do it all. He's had over 40 fights. I can't ever remember seeing him shook or worried. This is, trained killers trying to take his head off, and he never looks out of pocket. He is like a rapper who just turns up and figures out his lines on the fly and still makes it sound like the best song you've ever heard. That's how amazing he is. I've never seen anyone who can fight out both stances the way Crawford can. He looks so natural in either stance. That's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and when they stand in the pocket and they just go for it. And even in those situations where usually both of you are getting hit, he still manages to hit and not get hit. It's like he's in the Matrix. And this isn't against average fighters. This is against the best in the world at 4 different weight classes, and he's made it look easy pretty much every time he's moved up. I think in the Errol Spence fight, that was a fight that was supposed to be 50-50. The pressure was on. A lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. He made that look like a boxing lesson, and the reason is when Errol Spence would throw a punch and not get out of the pocket quick enough, he would make them pay every single time. And if people are worried about Canelo's feet being slow, if there's anyone who can punish that, it's Terence Bud Crawford. In terms of weaknesses, these guys, they don't really have weaknesses. They've just got things that they maybe not as amazing at. That's the level we're talking here. Canelo has been accused of being a bit of a slow starter, and that could be a problem in this fight.
Michael Fox recently emphasized a key factor in the upcoming showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Crawford's only real disadvantage is size. Moving up in weight to challenge a naturally bigger and stronger opponent like Canelo comes with obvious risks. That physical gap could allow Canelo to apply pressure and make strength exchanges difficult for Crawford. But aside from that, Fox argued that Crawford has the edge in nearly every technical area. His footwork lets him create tricky angles that frustrate aggressive fighters. His jab is crisp and accurate, setting up combinations while disrupting rhythm. His timing is often described as world-class, giving him the ability to exploit even the smallest openings. Above all, Crawford's fight IQ is regarded as one of the sharpest in modern boxing. He adjusts on the fly, changing tactics seamlessly based on the opponent. Fox believes these qualities make Crawford a dangerous matchup for Canelo despite the size gap. If Crawford can neutralize the physicality and keep Canelo from controlling the fight with power punches, his skill set could take over, giving him a real shot at outclassing and beating the Mexican superstar.
I would like to see Bud pull it off. The thing about it is, I think the only disadvantage Bud really has is the weight. I think he has all the skills and attributes that are required to beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's kind of flat-footed. You've seen the fights with Bivol and Laura and even School, who didn't do much, but you see that movement irritates Canelo. You know what I'm saying? When dudes that know how to control the range and stuff like that, he didn't look like the world beater. You know what I mean? The motherfucker that sat in front of him, them dudes that sat in front of him, we see what he did with him. You know what I mean? But guys like Bivol, who was bigger, but he bouncing in and out. Laura, motherfucking landing counter lefts, and he's circling out, and that shit was fucking with Canelo. Floyd, you know, it probably killed Canelo that Floyd was always only an inch away. Yep. Just a little step back, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, God, I feel like I missed by a mile.
That's
so
crazy because he didn't use no movement.
Right.
He stood in the pocket on it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Triple G was. You said G? Triple G?
No, I said Floyd didn't use no movement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. I'm in there to land, then I'm just right here. In there to land, but now I'm right here. It was a bad motherfucker, Joe. Like that's what Floyd never gotta understand. Floyd was a bad motherfucker. But the movement, having good feet under you, helps against Canelo.
When new training photos of Terence Crawford surfaced online, fans reacted with mix of curiosity and doubt. The images showed Crawford in peak condition, displaying a noticeably sharper and more muscular frame. But the big question quickly became whether the pictures were real or digitally altered. Some wondered if the visuals were intentionally exaggerated to send a message to Canelo Alvarez before their showdown. While Crawford has always been known for his strict training habits, the sudden physical transformation sparked heavy discussion. The response proves just how closely fans and analysts study every detail. It's
shredded wheat and amazing. Is this photo photoshopped? Because this photo that Ilia Tapora posted of Terence Bud Crawford is the latest photo we've seen, and he looks just less impressive in this photo. Well, the question is really, when were the photos taken? All right, so when you look at this photo and you look at this photo and look at this video of Terence Crawford with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh as Terence Crawford is working out, supposedly just yesterday, right? Which one is Terence Crawford's latest appearance? Because even though this is the latest photo you've seen, doesn't mean this is when the photo was taken. The only reason why people are confused is because this latest photo seems to have been taken in Vegas. And we're approaching fight week and Terence Crawford is already in Vegas. Hence the video with him with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in Vegas. Now, let me explain all of this. Well, first you gotta look at the hairstyles, right? Terence Crawford in this photo from Ilia Tapora, his hairstyle is totally different than this hairstyle here with Terence Crawford shredded wheat. It is also different than his hairstyle that he has here in the gym with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You can tell because you can tell how the hair braid, like how it's parted in this photo, and in this photo, they're more parted down the middle, where this video, it's slanted, it's in like a diagonal slant, which I'm thinking is his latest.
Adam Smith recently broke down why he leans toward Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez, pointing to timing as the biggest factor. In Smith's view, boxing isn't just about skill, it's also about facing opponents at the right stage of their careers. He explained that Canelo has already gone through years of grueling fights against elite competition, and that wear and tear has started to show. While Canelo remains highly skilled, Smith feels his speed, explosiveness, and sharpness are no longer quite what they used to be. On the other hand, Crawford is stepping into what many see as the prime of his career. He's undefeated, carries tremendous momentum, and shows no signs of slowing down. Driven and motivated, Crawford still has a hunger of a fighter eager to prove himself against the best. According to Smith, this perfect mix of form and ambition gives Crawford the edge. He believed the timing of this matchup works against Canelo, with Crawford meeting him at a moment when his sharpness has dipped just enough. For Smith, that makes this the ideal opportunity for Crawford to claim victory and further cement his legacy.
To be in Vegas to see, I think Terence Crawford beats Canelo, and I think that it's going to be his coming out party. I'd love to be there, and Canelo, of course, an all-time great. Yeah, but listen, I love Ireland, and I'm pleased to be in Belfast with the zone for Crocker and Donovan. There's something about an all-Irish fight which is fantastic, and it was great, controversial first time around. It's even bigger now. So yeah, let's chat over there and get on with it.
Just a quick one on Canelo Crawford. I heard you pick Crawford. You just said it there. How much of that is down to timing, and how much of that is down to styles?
A bit of both. I think Canelo is approaching 70 fights. He's been beaten before. Crawford remains undefeated. I think that the jump up is big, but I think he's got the speed, the IQ, the experience, the know-how to be able to handle it. If he's switched on for every minute of every round, I think he wins, and I think he announces himself to the world on Netflix. And I think he deserves it. I think Terence Crawford's only been really known to the trade fans. Canelo, obviously, a bigger name, bigger star, and look, I fancy Crawford in this fight. Look, nothing against Canelo. Maybe it's a little bit of time in the skull fight. I don't know, but there's plenty that fancy Canelo be too big, too strong, too good. It's Crawford for me.
On TalkSport Boxing, the debate over Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford got heated. Some analysts went as far as to say that if Crawford suffers a one-sided loss, it could mark the end of his days competing at the very top level. The panel explored both perspectives, one side arguing that Canelo's size and relentless pressure could break Crawford down, while the other side insisted that Crawford's technical brilliance and fight IQ might expose Canelo's flaws. The discussion mirrored the divided opinions across the boxing world. What stood out most was a bold prediction that a defeat could close the door on Crawford's biggest opportunities, highlighting just how high the stakes are for this fight.
So yeah, there's a big argument that Canelo Alvarez starts the favourite going into this one because he's the super middleweight world champion. Bud Crawford jumping up to two weight divisions, and he's jumped up a weight division before that as well, beating Errol Spence. You just look at it and go, it's a massive ask here for Terence Crawford. Something inside me tells me he wins, and we'll get into that later on.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in the meantime, Canelo, as ever, has left no stone unturned. He's been training at altitude in Sierra Nevada, looking to get the maximum body stamina and preparation advantage. It's something that he's used to, and of course he's going to effectively be the home fighter because Tex-Mexers will be up in their numbers from Texas, also Hispanic fans from all around the United States. The fight is being made on Mexican Independence Day. I don't think you have to be a great crystal ball gazer to know where the bulk of the crowd is going to be rooting when they step out inside those ropes and their names are bellowed out by the ringside announcer afterwards.
Listen, even though the fight happens in America and Terence Crawford is American, it is going to be so pro-Mexican there, because Canelo is accepted. He's like an adopted son there, and Mexican Independence Day, all of that goes so much in favour of Canelo Alvarez. You go, actually, the guy that's a four-division world champion and a superstar of the sport and American will start probably the fan favourite will definitely be Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. And he's been training with somebody, sparring with a man who he thinks replicates Crawford's style in sparring many rounds against Yaron Ennis.
George Ferocious Cambosos Jr. shared his thoughts by stressing the impact of Canelo Alvarez's pressure fighting style. In his view, Canelo is at his most dangerous when he closes the distance, cuts off the ring, and unleashes heavy combinations. Cambosos pointed out that Canelo's biggest strength is throwing precise, powerful punches while constantly applying forward pressure. He expects Canelo to bring that same strategy against Terence Crawford, forcing him onto the back foot throughout the fight. The real test for Crawford, according to Cambosos, will be absorbing those punishing shots and stopping Canelo from controlling the tempo. For him, Canelo's relentless pressure is a weapon that simply can't be overlooked.
Canelo is the pressure fighter. He's got to put the pressure on Crawford. He has to be able to land his big shots. He's seasoned at fighting a super middleweight. He's fought as high as light heavyweight, as we know. So he is accustomed to the bigger punches, the bigger shots. I don't think Crawford can really land anything that's going to trouble a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is such a good pressure fighter, and for him to be successful in this fight, he needs to be able to really cut the ring off very, very well. with a guy like Terence Crawford. Now, we saw in Canelo's last fight against Skull that he was not able to really cut him off well. So that has caused a lot of doubters, you know, and people starting to think, you know, Crawford will have that edge in the footwork and the movement department. But, you know, when you're fighting a big fight, you're going to get up for a big fight, and he's really going to be at his best against a guy like Terence Crawford. So I believe he will cut the ring off, you know, very, very well. And for him to be successful, he has to land shots on Crawford, put him in 2 frames of mind, make Crawford double think every time Canelo goes in and wants to land shots and land shots. Now, a guy like Crawford is so slick, so dynamic, able to punch you from different angles and, you know, different stances. We see he switches from orthodox to southpaw. He might fight the whole fight in southpaw. So he's so dynamic. Now, he's the kind of guy that he's going to put Canelo in 2 kind of frames of mind.
Some analysts point back to Terence Crawford showing against Israel Madrimov, noting that he didn't appear fully comfortable after moving up in weight. They argue that stepping up again to face Canelo Alvarez is an even greater challenge. In the Madrimov fight, Crawford was still adjusting to the higher division, and his punching power didn't seem quite as imposing. The concern now is that against Canelo, a naturally bigger and stronger opponent, those limitations could become even more obvious. Critics of Crawford's move believe that the size and weight gap may reduce his usual advantages, making this matchup especially risky.
But a lot of people feel Crawford actually lost that fight. So we've got Crawford coming in off the back of, well, his previous 2 fights. One of them was brilliant performance. The other one was a bit lackluster by his very high standards, albeit against a very, very good fighter. But you could see in that fight that the size of Israel Madrimov, bear in mind, 154 pounds. Israel Madrimov still fights at 154 pounds. This is super middleweight, 2 divisions more. And we've seen Canelo when he's brought someone up from 154 who was a decent size 154 pounder in Charlo. But Crawford's not going to do what Charlo did. Charlo fought like, you know, someone who was completely scared out of his mind and just didn't want to knew he wasn't going to win, but didn't want to get stopped. That was really the look we were getting from Charlo. Crawford is not going to do that. He's a very proud man. Doesn't know what it's like to be defeated. He fully believes in himself, and the shape he looks in phenomenal shape. He's coming into this fight fully believing that he can win this, and that right there is the mindset you need to have. It will give you, it won't guarantee you victory, but it will give you a better chance than if you went in there thinking, right, just survive and see what happens. I do think that the size difference will be something. Although saying that, look at Canelo Alvarez, we look at his most recent performances, and when's the last fight from Alvarez that's really made you stand up and take note? Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, maybe those 2 fights, they were good performances. Lost, clearly, the Dimitri Bivol fight, although it's very close here, it was on the scorecards, it was a clear loss. Against Triple G, it was just a meh performance. Likewise against John Ryder, Charlo, we won't even talk about that. Munguia, it was a bit meh. Again, Berlanga, it was like, okay, and show me something.
Former Canelo camp member Joe Vargas weighed in on the upcoming showdown, stressing that Canelo is a different kind of challenge. Vargas explained that Canelo possesses unique qualities that separate him from most fighters. His calmness under pressure, devastating body shots, and knockout power in both hands make him especially dangerous. He also pointed out that Terence Crawford has never faced anyone quite like Canelo, a fighter who blends raw power with sharp defensive awareness. In Vargas's view, while Crawford is highly skilled and intelligent, this test will be unlike anything he has experienced before. For him, the fight is Canelo's chance to prove that he still stands as one of the most complete fighters in boxing today.
This is the first time I pick it. I'm going to go with Canelo on this one.
Why is that?
They're both great at what they do. I'm going against Maggie. I heard everything she said right now. She's right on the money on all that stuff, but Crawford has done a lot of great things at a smaller weight. You know, that jump is I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know. Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing. But I just think Canelo's too good at the little things and what's Crawford's game plan gonna be, you know. That's what's gonna define the fight to me.
Do you think Canelo knocks him out?
No, but I think, well, that's the only way I think he's gonna win. I think he wants to make a statement. I was going back and forth about Canelo, like everybody talks about, like, For example, when Berlanga fought Shiraz, did I say it right? Shiraz? Berlanga was engaging with Shiraz. He wasn't engaging with Canelo much, you know? Same thing with Ryder. He didn't engage with Canelo. Munguia did. And it's like, you fight people different. Crawford's not gonna fight him the same way he's fought everybody else. Yeah, he's gonna make great adjustments. He's gonna do some great things. It's not the same till you get hit by Canelo. You know, one time, I remember the first time Ulises Sierra sparred with Canelo, the first time we went to his camp, and he came back after the first round, and I said, "What's up, mijo? How hard does he hit?" He said, "Coach, I can feel his power all the way down to my feet."
That wraps up today's breakdown. Make sure to stick around for the next update.